All right, so now we're going to take a look at how to create a scatter plot using Google Colab and the IPython shell. So the first thing I've done is I've gone to openintro.org and I've downloaded a data set which has body measurements of 507 physically active individuals. I'm just looking for some numerical data, and I'm looking for numerical data that I can take pairs from. So I've come down here and downloaded the CSV file. So the CSV is downloaded here in my download folder. And I'm going to see if there's a relationship between weight and height of these physically active people. I'm going to plot weight and height in the coordinate plane using a scatter plot. All right, so weight is WGT, height is HGT, and I've already downloaded the CSV. So here is the code that I'm going to use in order to input this CSV and create the scatter plot. So I'm going to first use pandas to import the CSV as a data frame. So I need to import these two libraries. I'm just going to go ahead and import pandas first. Import pandas as PD. So there I've imported pandas with this line of code. And once I've imported pandas, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use pandas to create a data frame with the file having the file path that leads to this downloads folder. So first, I want to go ahead and actually upload that file onto the Google Colab server by clicking this Files button here. And once I click Files, I'm then going to click this icon to upload to the session storage so I can upload my file that I downloaded from OpenIntro. I'm going to upload it now to Google Colab. So I click that button and I'm just going to find my file. Let's see, I'm looking for the downloads folder. And here it is. Here is the thing I downloaded, this comma separated files, or yeah, CSV. Comma separated values, and it reminds me that this is only going to be available for this session. So I click OK, and there it is. This is the file that I downloaded from OpenIntro. Now it is in Google Colab. The file path, I can get it by clicking these vertical three dots here, these three vertical dots, and just clicking copy file path. I'm going to need that file path because in order to create my data frame, as you can see here, in order to create my data frame, I need to know the file path. I need to know where pandas can find this file. So the data frame, I'm going to name it df, and I'm going to let that equal. And now I'm going to call pandas, which I nicknamed PD. And then I'm going to use the pandas read underscore CSV method. So pd dot read, read CSV, READ. And here it is, read CSV. I just click that. And in the read CSV parentheses, I'm going to open and close the parentheses there. I'm going to make a quotation, single quotes here, and I'm just going to paste that file path. So for me, that's Control V, pasting the file path. So this will take, this will be read directly from content bdims.csv. So that is going to create my data frame. And now I'm just going to look at what the head of the data frame looks like by typing df.head, and this will show me the head of the data frame. And I'll just go ahead and run that. So this is the head of the data frame, the first 5 rows. And I see all the variables that they have here. And at the very end, I see the weight and the height. Those are the ones I'm looking for there, the weight and the height. All right, perfect. So now that I have the data frame in Google Colab, I'm going to add another code cell. And in that code cell, I'm now going to start with my plotting. All right, so I'm going to import matplotlib pyplot as PLT. So I'm going to import matplotlib, PLOT lib .pyplot, and I'm going to import that as PLT. All right. So now pyplot or matplotlib.pyplot is what I'm going to use to actually create the scatter plot. So in order to do that, I'm going to give it the domain and the codomain, which are going to be the data frame's variables. In this case, variable 1, I'm going to be using the height, and variable 2, I'm going to be using the weight. So I'm going to let the height be variable 1 and the weight be variable 2. So I'm going to say domain. So this is the input. The domain is going to be from the data frame. Then I'm going to open a square bracket, and in a parenthesis, or I'm just actually going to look down here. I'm just going to select it. Let's see. We wanted height, right? Here it is, height. And then that is that variable. For the codomain or the range, codomain, I'm going to let this equal the data frame variable, so df, and then open a square bracket, and I'm going to let that be weight, wgt. So this is going to let the domain be the height of the physically active person, and the codomain or the range be the weight of that physically active person, or this group of 507 physically active people. So there's my X and my Y, my domain and my codomain. And then the last line of code I need is this actual plot code to create the plot. So I'm going to call pyplot, which is nicknamed PLT. PLT is the nickname for pyplot. And pyplot has a method called plot, PLOT, which is a scatter plot. For the X, or the input, I'm just going to let that be the domain that I just defined, domain. And for the output, the range, the Y value, I'm going to let that be codomain, codomain. I also have to tell plt.plot what I want the plot to look like. If I leave that last parameter off, it's going to create a line graph, or try to create a line graph to connect all the dots. But I'm going to tell it that I don't want that. I actually want this to have dots by putting a lowercase letter o in single quotes. So this lowercase letter o in single quotes is going to tell pyplot that I actually want to plot ordered pairs as dots. So it's going to give me dots as my ordered pairs. So let's go ahead and run this. And there you go. So it seems as though there's a positive relationship here between how tall these athletes are and their weights. How tall they are and their weights. The domain is the height, so that's this one here, the X values. And the codomain represents the weight, so that those are these values here. And this is how we create a scatter plot using IPython.